Hello, fellow food lovers. Today I will be making Chinese chicken chow mein. You will need one chicken breast, boneless, one package of steamed chow mein noodles. You need about half a pound, two stems of big bok choy, four shiitake mushrooms, and a quarter of a medium onion. For the chicken marinade, you will need Chinese white pepper, soy sauce, sesame oil, and oil. For the sauce, you'll need 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of chicken powder, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Okay, I got about 4 to 5 shiitake mushrooms. They're the dried variety that you can buy in Asian grocery stores. You need to soak them overnight. So you put them in a bowl and you just fill it with tap water and you leave it like that overnight. So they have stems usually, so you need to cut the stems off because they're hard and they're not really edible. You can save the stems for making soup stock. And then just cut the mushrooms into 3-4 pieces each. You don't need them as whole mushrooms, so like that. So I got a quarter of a medium onion. I just cut the tips off, and I'm gonna take the outer layer off. I'm just gonna slice it into thin slices. I like to break the layers up before I put them into the wok to stir fry with. It's easier to cook that way. Okay, I got the big bok choy. The other variety is the baby bok choy. You don't need that. You need the big ones. So I'm just going to take about three to four of the stems or the leaves, and I'm going to cut into thin slices. If you have a big bok choy and you're using the outside leaves, which are quite large, you only need about 2 of them for this recipe, but I have the inside ones, which are smaller, so I'm going to use probably 4 pieces. Make sure you give them a rinse before you use it. Especially the outside leaves near their base, it tends to be a little on the dirty side. It's got usually a bit of dirt in there. So yeah, you just want to slice into thin slices. Okay, I got chicken breast, thinly sliced. I usually buy just the boneless chicken breast. It's easier to use. I'm going to give it a dash of Chinese white pepper powder. Give it a splash of soy sauce. Give it a splash of sesame oil. And a splash of cooking oil. I'm going to use my fingers to massage the sauce into the meat to help marinate it. Okay, let's get cooking. So I'm gonna fry the steamed chow mein noodles. So I'm going to put about a cup of oil into the wok. You're not going to deep fry the noodles. It's a little dangerous. It's going to actually cause the oil to overflow. So don't fill the wok half full with oil. Just put a cup of oil in there. And I have it on high heat. So I have about half a pound of steamed chow mein noodles. So they're actually pre-cooked already. Usually when you buy chow mein noodles, they're usually in 1 pound packages. So you only need half. If you buy a 1 pound package of chow mein noodles, you only need half of that for this dish. A typical serving would be a half pound. Okay, so you don't need to boil it if you buy pre-steamed chow mein noodles. It's almost ready to eat out of the package. But for Cantonese chow mein, it's usually fried so that the noodles are crispy. So I used a cup of oil, and I waited for the oil to get hot, and then I put the chow mein noodles in there, and I fried one side, and I already turned it over. So you want to fry both sides. And once it's crispy, you want to take it out. So probably fry it in oil for a minute on one side, and then turn it over and fry it for a minute on the other side. That's all you really need. It doesn't take long at all. Again, the noodles already cooked already because they're steamed. In the pack, when you buy it in the package, it's already pre-cooked. So you just have to crisp it up in the oil. Okay, so I usually recycle the oil, so I'll pour it back into the oil container. I pour it through a sieve so the big pieces are kind of caught before I put it back into the oil container. Okay, so I washed the wok. I added 2 tablespoons of oil, and I added the chicken meat. So I'm going to cook the chicken meat. I want to cook it maybe 60-70% of the way through, because I'm going to finish cooking it off with the vegetables. So you want to stir it once in a while. You want to make sure that both sides are cooked. Yeah, so when I took the chow mein noodles out of the wok, I set them on paper towels on a plate that's sitting behind the wok, just to drain the excess oil. Okay, so the chicken's about 60% cooked. So I'm going to take it out and set it aside. And I'm going to cook the veggies now. So I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of cooking oil in the wok. I'm going to add the onions. Yeah, so I washed the wok. I'm going to add the shiitake mushrooms too. So I washed the wok after I fried the chicken meat. So it's a clean wok again. So I heated it up, added 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. And then I added the onions and the shiitake mushrooms. I'm going to fry it for a bit. You kind of have to stir fry, and maybe when you make the sauce boil the shiitake mushrooms for a bit to cook them. They don't take very long to cook, but you should definitely stir fry them for a bit. And the onions, you want to slightly caramelize the onions as well. So I put the onions and the shiitake mushrooms in together, and I'm kind of stir frying it. And I'll probably stir fry those two for about 3-4 minutes. And it's on high heat right now. You want to give it a stir once in a while. Okay, after 3-4 minutes of stir frying the onions and the shiitake mushrooms, I add the bok choy. So after I added the bok choy, I just let it cook for a bit, and then I'm stir frying it, bringing the bottom up to the top, so the top can go down to the bottom, so it kind of fries evenly. And mixing the mushrooms and the onions in with the bok choy as well. So we're going to stir fry the bok choy probably for about 3-4 minutes. Yeah, so about 3-4 minutes have passed by. You're going to add the water. We're going to finish it off. So 1 cup of water. You want the stir fry to be pretty saucy because the sauce is going to kind of come down into the chow mein noodles and soften the noodles up. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. And 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And 1 teaspoon of chicken powder. And 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. Give that a stir, mix the sauce in with water. And I'm going to add the chicken to the top. I'm going to put a lid on that. I'm going to steam it for about 2-3 minutes. You don't want to steam it for any much more longer than that. If you steam it for over 5 minutes, it's definitely going to be overcooked. Yeah, so when you steam the vegetables after you do a stir fry, 2-3 minutes is pretty sufficient time. Okay, so I'm going to make this slurry. So I put 1 tablespoon of cornstarch into a bowl. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water to that. And give that a stir. Make sure the cornstarch is mixed in with the water. Okay, so I'm going to assemble a dish now. So I'm going to transfer the chow mein noodles into the serving dish. Okay, so after having the lid on there for 3 minutes, it's pretty much done. So I'm going to give it a stir, mix the chicken in with the bok choy, and then I'm going to add the cornstarch slurry. Give that a stir so that the sauce thickens properly with the cornstarch. You want it to be kind of a nice gravy when you make chow mein noodles so that the gravy goes down into the chow mein noodles and softens it up. Okay, so I'm going to dish it up, put it over the chow mein noodles. This is a very famous Cantonese dish. It's very iconic. And if you go to a Canadian Chinese restaurant or an American Chinese restaurant and order Cantonese chow mein, this is kind of what you might get. It'll be like a crispy noodle on the bottom, and there'll be like a stir fry on top. So this is Cantonese chicken chow mein with the crispy noodles. Sometimes with Canadian Chinese restaurants, you can order like a chow mein dish, but it's actually just a stir-fried vegetable and meat with these crispy noodles that come in the package with the stir fry, and when you when you serve it, you kind of put those chow mein noodles on top of the stir fry. And that's not what this is, but sometimes you'll see Cantonese chow mein on Canadian Chinese menus. Okay, bon appetit.